What's up, everybody? In this video, I'm going to talk about Funko Pop albums that I think should be made. I'm doing this really just for fun. I don't know if all of these ideas will happen or not. Again, just for fun here, basically. And I do actually have the first pop album that was made, which of course here is the Notorious B.I.G.'s Ready to Die pop album. And I was really excited when I saw that Funko was going to do this. I think it's a great way to start off this particular series, and they did a great job with it in my opinion. You see I have it here. Of course it does have like sort of a sleeve on it, and it comes in this plastic case. The figure is held well in place as well. I didn't even realize at first, but yeah, there is actually a thin layer of plastic that can be removed from this. For right now I'm probably just going to leave that on though to help protect it even more. And yeah, again, I'm very happy to have this in my collection because I do have most of the Notorious B.I.G. pops, and this pop album, like I said, I think was a great idea. I don't know if they would do a second album or not, but if they ever did, I would definitely go for that. So I do want to say before I get into my list here, and by the way, this list is not in any particular order necessarily. Again, these are just my opinions. I know some people are going to feel differently. There's going to be some albums, pop albums that you would like to see that I don't mention. But again, these are just my opinions, the main ones that I would like to focus on. And then also, I'm not going to focus on certain artists like Lil Wayne and Nirvana because they're already rumored to have pop albums on the way. And I think I may have seen maybe at least one more rumor as well. I just can't remember the name of the band for sure, but yeah, there's some other ones that are already rumored to be on the way. So like I said, I'm not trying to cover every single artist I could think of, just a couple of ideas that I want to share with you all, and I'm gonna go ahead and get into my ideas right now. Now, first of all, I know that there are already a couple of Prince pops. I think there's maybe 3 and then a variant of one of them. But yeah, I would still like to see a Purple Rain pop album because I think it would be so cool to see Prince on the motorcycle there. Just would be something very unique, sort of like a pop ride and a pop album at the same time. I just think that would be very interesting to see, and I think it would sell well also. I've been a fan of A Tribe Called Quest for a long time, and I really like these particular album covers that you see here. They have this figure on them with the Afrocentric colors, and this would give Funko the opportunity to do something pretty unique, to actually take that figure and make it the actual pop within the pop album. I just think it would look really cool, and of course they could go with either one of these. The only thing with the Midnight Marauders album cover is it does have a lot of artist pictures on it. I don't know if that would be an issue with the licensing or not. So if they could not do Midnight Marauders album cover, then of course they could go for the low end theory. But again, I just think this would be something unique that would really stand out, especially when you see that on a store shelf. Now, Kanye West, of course, is he can be annoying in a lot of ways with some of the ridiculous things that he chooses to do, and even his music sometimes lately can be kind of hit or miss. But if you go back to his early days, he was pretty more consistent with great music. And then also this character that he came up with, this sort of mascot, the bear there, I think was very popular, and I think people would still like to see that as a figure. So whether it be his first album or his second album, and the bear along with it as the figure inside of the pop album, I think that would be pretty cool to see. Now, Cardi B, I'm actually surprised at how popular she is. I mean, I do think she is a talented artist. I just thought she would be like way too much for certain audiences, but she's still been able to maintain her popularity even with her pushing the edge, pushing the envelope sometimes. But yeah, if you look at her first album cover, I think it's pretty unique. I really like the outfit that she wore there, the interesting hairstyle, the glasses, the attitude that she has. The only thing that might be a little bit risky about this one, trying to convert this into a pop, is sometimes Funko struggles to get the mouths to look, right when they do decide to sculpt them on. So if they decide to put the mouth on the pop, they'd have to be kind of careful about that to make sure they actually land the look of it so it doesn't come out looking all awkward and everything. But yeah, like I said, Cardi B is a big enough name, and this album cover is popular enough to where it would make sense as a pop album. Now, Janet Jackson is absolutely an icon, when it comes to music, and yeah, she's crossed over in other avenues of Hollywood as well. And I think the Rhythm Nation cover is the one that really stands out for me. The whole like military style outfit that she rocked for several videos. I think it was like 3 videos at least where she rocked that outfit and had that whole thing going on there with the black and white outfit. So this would be pretty awesome to see. And I mean, Funko actually could consider doing that pop as a black and white pop, or a grayscale pop. I think that would be pretty interesting to see as well. So yeah, I don't know if they could get the license for Janet Jackson or not, but if they could, yeah, I think Rhythm Nation would be a great choice. Now, Taylor Swift, I don't listen to Taylor Swift's music. About the only time I hear it is if I'm like out and about in the store shopping and they happen to be playing her music. So with this list, I didn't want to just directly focus on my fandoms, and who I'm a fan of. I also wanted to just think about some other artists that are big, that have some interesting album covers. And I know the album cover for 1989 was hugely popular. Some people actually, did some knockoffs of that shirt that she was wearing there and were wearing it. So just on the strength of that, being very popular, I think this would be a good idea for a pop album for her. I haven't looked at all of her album covers. Well, I've seen a couple of the other ones, but they look kind of plain to me. I just think that this is the one that would stand out. If you are a big fan of Taylor Swift, of course, let me know if you think there is a better album cover to go with for her. Now, somebody else that Funko I really hope they can secure the license to do some Lady Gaga pops, because she has so many crazy looks, and they could get really silly with it, in terms of like outfits that she wore to different events and whatnot. There's a lot of things that they could do. But as far as a pop album, I think the Fame Monster would be a good one to go with, because of the outfit that she wore there, and the hair especially is pretty crazy looking. So I think it would make for a pretty interesting looking figure. Again, if you're a fan though of Lady Gaga, you think there's a better album to go with, definitely share that with me, because I don't know a whole lot about her music. She's another one of those artists where I hear her music when I'm out in stores and things like that, and then I think there's been some games like the DJ Hero games, which I wish that series could come back. But yeah, I remember her music being in the DJ Hero games as well. So yeah, she's a huge artist, huge name, and I definitely think she deserves a pop album, sometime soon. Now with DMX, he put out 2 platinum albums in his first year of being a recording artist. And, his first album is Here to the Right, which, it's a fine cover. But as far as the pop album goes, his second album was very shocking to see. It really caught people off guard. The blood all over him there, with the Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood album. I think that one would stand out better as a pop. I just think it's more eye-catching. It is still somewhat shocking image to see, if you've never seen that before. So I just think it would make for a better, more interesting album. And I hope Funko considers that, not to always go with the first album, try to go for the one that is the most interesting. And of course, with a lot of albums, there's some that are not going to work because they don't really have a figure that could be transferred into a pop on them. But again, when it comes to DMX, like I said, just that shocking image of him covered in the blood there, I think would be interesting to see. And he is, of course, a legend in the hip hop game, so yeah, I hope to see him as a pop figure eventually. And then, of course, in the Versus series, if you follow the Versus series, those battles, then you know that DMX and Snoop Dogg went up against each other. Of course, Snoop Dogg just has so many hits. His catalog is ridiculous. So I think he managed to outshine DMX just a little bit, but they're both great artists in their own great terms, So, yeah, with Snoop Dogg, of course, I would love to see the Doggy Style album, his first album, which is an absolute classic. To me, that's one of those albums you really can just let it play from beginning to end, and it's great from beginning to end. So it'd be pretty interesting to see this done. And of course, Snoop Dogg himself as the dog would be the pop figure. I think that would be an easy win for Funko if they could secure Snoop Dogg's likeness. And I keep bringing that up, of course, because I know people want to see a lot of things from Funko, but it does come down to licenses. Funko can't just make whatever they want to. They do have to get the rights to do so. So hopefully most of these artists that I'm mentioning here would be willing to work with Funko. Next up here, JayZ, and I have to admit up front, JayZ's album covers they're usually pretty simple, not the most eye-catching, not the most interesting. So looking at his catalog and looking at his different album covers, I would just go with Reasonable Doubt. Reasonable Doubt is, it's a classic album. It's a classic album cover as well. Him in that sharp suit with the cigar in hand and all of that. I just think that's the best one to go with. And I think JayZ does, need a figure at some point because he has such a huge fan base still. So out of the JayZ albums, that's just the one that I think stands out the most, and that's still the truest to him, basically. So yeah, I think that one would work. Now, there have been rumors about WuTang Clan getting pop figures. We haven't seen them yet. I still hope that is going to happen. But yeah, a pop album based on their first album, Into the WuTang, 36 Chambers. I think that would be very cool to happen. And of course, just to have one of the members, you know, not really naming the member, of course, but to just have one of them with the hoodie on and the white face mask, I think that would be a really cool looking figure. And I'm still keeping my fingers crossed that there are going to be some WuTang Pops. I definitely would buy all of them up. And then I know the next one here, this is a reach. I doubt that this would happen, but you know, ODB is just such an amazing artist to me, and I really did love his music. So yeah, whether they did the first album or the second album, either way, it would be really interesting. The first one, I think especially, is just kind of ridiculous. You know, his government identification card there, but you know, basically food stamp card. That is it's iconic. I mean, whether you love it or hate it, it's iconic. A lot of people know about it. I remember MTV doing like a full story talking about that album cover and just, you know, him himself, you know, ODB. But his second album, the reason I mentioned it is just because, I mean, look at how outlandish it is. Him in that jumper suit there with the curly hair. It's just, it would be so crazy to see that as a pop figure. But yeah, if, like I said, if Funko is going to do Wu-Tang, I really hope that they would show some love to ODB as well, and maybe some of the other you know, solo projects from Wu-Tang members also. Now, I feel like a lot of people, even people that aren't the biggest David Bowie fans, really want to see a David Bowie pop figure. You know, not him as a character, but him, you know, as a recording artist. And you know, as far as album covers goes, I mean, come on, this definitely stands out. The figure would be very interesting to see, and yeah, people just have a lot of love for David Bowie. So this design, you know, with the colors, especially across his face, you know, those the like lightning marks with the red and blue, would be a very interesting looking figure to have. So yeah, I think this would be an easy one that would you know, really draw a lot of attention. And then the Beatles. I mean, come on, the Beatles crossing Abbey Road. I think a lot of people would go for this. Now, Funko has done Beatles Pops in the past. I don't know if they currently have the license or not, if they have the rights to do Beatles pop figures, but with this one, if they could actually figure out how to get all 4 of the members in the box, they might have to make it like slightly larger than maybe some of the other pop albums. But yeah, if they could get all 4 members, if they could actually pull that off and get the rights to do so, that would be amazing to see. Even people that aren't necessarily pop collectors, but maybe they're just Beatles fans, I think that's something they would like to have in their collection. So yeah, the Beatles crossing Abbey Road. Like I said, this list isn't really numbered necessarily, but if I was going to give a number 1, I think this would have to be number 1 because it's just such an iconic image. So you all, those are my ideas for pop albums. Of course, there are some other albums that kind of crossed my mind, but you know, the ones that I really talked about, those are the main ones that I would like to see eventually. And I could see adding some more pop albums to my collection, you know, especially for artists that I've been a big fan of for a long time, you know, decades at this point, you know. So yeah, I really hope that Funko is able to get a lot of a lot of licenses to keep this up. I think it's a great idea. You know, it's a great concept, the pop albums. They're definitely going to take up some room, you know, no lie about that. So I think you know, some collectors might have to be picky about which ones they grab, but I just hope to see a lot more from this particular line. But yeah, again, those were my ideas. Definitely share your own ideas in the comments. I look forward to reading your ideas. Thank you for taking the time to check out this video, and I'll talk to you all again real soon.